Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Baldwin 4505, it is a small, door bumper stop, for lack of a better term. Before I can place an order, here, let me tell you where the dilemma is. There is a mud job with tile floors above them that with the, I guess in one spot it's about a ½ inch thick tile. It's rather thick tile. And then in other areas it's regular 3/8 tile. The issue is that there's radiant heat under there. So
that's a coin toss.
That's a what?
That's a coin toss.
Right. So my issue there is how and what can I use to get around not going past the ½ inch clearance that I have?
Well, if you're going and it's sitting on tile?
Yes.
I don't see there being any way short of putting epoxy down and trying to glue it down and hoping that hoping that very, very little force is actually making contact with it.
Force with the door, right? Okay.
Yeah, there's no fastener that's going to really just bite into that, into the tile, 3/8, let's say. You've really got nothing to go to. I suppose you could try a really, really, really small lead expansion anchor. But, Loctite makes some stuff that's really crazy. So you could try it. Or just a product literally called Goop or E6000. You could, the worst case scenario is it doesn't work and you have to peel it off, pry it off. But you might do that. Stack as much weight on top of there as you can, like a case of tile, overnight, and just hope for the best.
Right. All right. Let me just ask you this in addition. There's two in your photos there. It shows two separate anchors. One, I guess, for a shorter, heavier screw, and then there's some kind of bolt. I don't even understand that. Would you have to pre-drill for that bolt, and does that open up like an anchor? And then there's another one that has a longer screw with a rubber, it looks like almost like a lime green rubber little piece that I'm assuming that expands when the screw is screwed into it.
Yeah, most likely. When I look at Baldwin 4505 on my site, I don't see any images of anchors.
Oh, I saw a video of what you had because I was looking for install videos.
Was I blabbing on? Let's take a look.
Yeah, you were holding up the bag of it.
And what? Okay, I've got the video. Hang on, let me catch up to you.
Yeah.
Well, the video's got. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I see it. Oh. Okay, so don't be fooled. Those are really large anchors.
They look even from the way you're holding it, they look like they're over an inch.
Oh,
if not
huge.
An inch and a half. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, obviously I would find out if that flooring was the wiring was held back far enough. I don't know why it would be, but maybe you got lucky there. They may not go to the outside perimeter of tile for the exact reason of floor stops, maybe. But those anchors, what you've got there is basically two packages. You've got on the left side, you've got a machine screw that's going to go into that double expansion anchor. That's for masonry. Way too long to fit into your application. On the right side, you have obviously a threaded to the head wood screw or a sheet metal screw. That can go into wood, but if you add that plastic anchor will allow you to get into masonry or, anything other than wood. If it was me, I would be using the double expansion anchor all day long. It's either double expansion anchor or it's going to be that wood screw.
How does that even expand, though? I don't even follow.
Yeah. So what happens is when you stick the machine screw through the bottom of the anchor into that, after you have drilled a large hole and set that down, when think of the component of a toggle wing. When the machine threads hit that, it's going to hit something that looks like that. As soon as you start to tighten it, because the anchor is basically held in the hole that you've drilled and it's going to hit the underside of the stop, there are wedges that at the bottom and at the top start to go in the opposite direction of each other, getting fatter in the process or coming to a greater diameter, allowing you to set that into the floor because it's wedging itself in.
Got it.
If you use that anchor, you need a stick of dynamite to get it out.
So are you able, once it expands, I mean, but I'm also afraid that it would also break the masonry that's around it, no?
Well, you'd have to so severely over tighten it to chip. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's actually masonry, it's not going to happen. If it's whatever the board that they use in a shower enclosure underneath the tile, if that's your floor, then yeah, you got a problem. But if it's actual masonry, there's no way.
Got it. Right. Okay.
Hey,
all right.
So
but
what about a piece of hardware that's not this? Maybe an overhead concealed door stop, a slide track mechanism. That's the most elegant way to do it, although maybe unrealistic. Or maybe at the other end of the spectrum, just a hinge pin door stop. Don't even go to the floor.
So here's the problem. So the designer has spec'd this. That's the first big problem. Second problem is one of these doors is a garage door with a self-close hinge. So that wouldn't work. The other option that you said. But what was the other slide track, something you said? I don't know if I understood that.
Yeah, so a hinge pin door stop would work because you probably don't have all three spring hinges. And if you do, you could remove the bottom one with a traditional ball bearing, you would remove the top one with a traditional ball bearing hinge of the same leaf thickness and width. So you may be able to make that work. The slide track idea is what would be called an overhead concealed stop. And you mortise into the underside of the header, and you mortise into the top of the door. And then you mortise the face of the door slightly. And it's the only thing I can relate it to is there are two components to this that are connected together in the center, and the arm slides in the track. So as the door opens, the length when it's in the closed position, gets substantially longer. And depending on where you prep the door and the frame for it, that sets the degree of stop. Any heavy-duty application, whether it be a mall or it be a hotel or an airport, they're going to have overhead stops because there is no way to stop a door properly by using a floor stop or a wall stop or a hinge pin stop or a baseboard stop, any of that stuff. If you've got high enough traffic, you'll just crush any hardware, any door stop. So you have the proper slide track hardware, and they call them overhead stops. If Glenn Johnson is the name most synonymous. If you looked up the part number 104S, you'll see it or its ilk. Very uncommon in residential applications, but where the designers like it is that they're thoroughly, utterly concealed when you close the door. Utterly concealed, and there's no hardware that someone's drilled into the floor that you're being forced to see.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I see this. All right.
Best
I just
specified before the doors and frames were made.
The only problem, again, that I'm imagining, and I'm not there right now to see, is the fact that this needs to be mortised into the top of the header, and this is a fireproof door. So I don't know, again, if there are seals and whatnot around it that would either be compromised or would be in the way of having this installed properly. So that I need to look into again. Okay.
While that's a problem, the actual problem, the paramount problem is it would not be permissible to do this modification work in the field per NFPA 80. So I'm not the code police, but I'm merely saying that if you did the work and something happened, and I don't mean a fire and something really bad happened.
Yeah.
What I mean is, somehow the door supplier finds out that this field modification was done. Yeah, you no longer have a fire door. Right.
So, and it's complicated. But again, you know what? Even if it's not that's the problem. The problem may also be, I do believe that there are seals around the door that wouldn't even allow for this to. I believe there's like rubber seals all around, either on the frame or somewhere. No, am I wrong?
No, you're probably right, but overhead stops are used in fire doors all the time.
They are. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. I'm going to look into that. And then any other options? You said, what was that other hinge stop?
Well,
do you have any,
if you yanked one of the spring hinges off, at the top put a ball bearing hinge of the same leaf thickness and the same width, you could install a McKinney hinge pin door stop or the Ives 69, because you can get that to fit onto a standard commercial grade hinge. You can even make it go onto a heavyweight, which you do not have if you modified the bushing a little bit, or the bushing area. You could do it. It's a Band-Aid. I don't recommend it. The 4505 is a bet. Is this residential?
Yes, high-end residential.
I really believe if you took some E6000 and you put a case of tiles on it overnight, I bet you it's going to work. Because how hard does the door actually hit the stop? It doesn't hit it very often, and people aren't pushing against it generally, right? What the problem is the vacuum cleaner. That kind of thing is what breaks those. You're not going to have a vacuum cleaner on the tile floor, but you might.
No, you do. You still do not a brush. You do like a regular. What is it called?
Yeah.
Like a floor brush. You know what I mean? It won't have the power motor on it, but you still vacuum the floor that way. You're not sweeping
you're still mopping.
You're still vacuuming. Yeah, exactly. Right. You're going to hit it with the mop and the vacuum. So. Yeah. But that's a good idea. I never even thought of that. I didn't think it would hold up. But let me just ask you this, and then I'll let you go. And I really appreciate that you took all this time to speak with me. What if, let's say, that you saw that green, what is it called? That stupid green anchor. If that were cut down into a half an inch, and then I found a screw that would have a large enough head, or even cut the same screw that it comes with and cut that, wouldn't it work?
Well, absolutely. It would work to the extent that your holding power is directly related to the penetration into the floor. I would not hesitate to try that first. I mean, exactly what you said. Buzz that thing down to the right length, and then that's either a number 12 or a number 14 flathead screw. Go find yourself a 12 by 5/8. Would be good, because you got the thickness of the base of the stop you're going through, and you're good. Okay. And if you find a 3/4, put a little washer underneath it. Because it's the head of the screw is completely concealed, right?
Yeah, that wouldn't matter. I just don't know how it adheres into the bottom of it, though. It may fasten.
That's a bad idea. Don't do that. Get a shorter screw. Get the right length screw. Probably 5/8 would be my guess.
Okay, got it. Right. So then, all right. So you'd still drill into the floor. You'd put the stupid anchor, and then what you could also do is you could still epoxy there, and then the screw will actually really hold it down into place nicely. And it'll go nowhere because it'll have both the anchor and the screw. The better idea would probably even to put glue even inside the anchor maybe and everything, and just make the whole thing one solid unit, unless you think that's not a good idea if you ever needed to remove it.
No, I think belt and suspenders are a good idea. I think modifying it the way you said is a really good idea. I don't think it's going to survive a cataclysmic event regardless, but I think everything you can do just to prevent the long-term decay of the installation. Because once you're paid and off the job, you're off the job. They're not going to call you in 5 years or 2 years about a doorstop. But you do want it to work 15 years from now. You want it to be like the day you put it in.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. You will get a phone call about it. You know what I mean? Or at least to repair it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, even for money. But, like, who wants to even deal with that? You know what I mean? I want it in and I want it to work correctly and I want to be done with it. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be some Mickey Mouse situation that you put chewing gum on and then, like, a minute later it's a problem and now you have a hole in the floor, too. Think about that. That would suck.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is this needed to have been caught in the design and specification stage, not you and your tool belt stage. So
right, but I agree with you. The only defense, to their defense, the only thing is, like, a lot of this more decorative hardware stuff you're choosing later, or even if not later, you know, even if they're ordering it, they're not imagining that it would be a problem. And now here we are, you know, handing it over and you're like, what do you want me to do with this now? It's a problem, you know, and then they're like, please find a way to make it work. So, I didn't spend years. I went online, you know, I saw, you know, who sells it. And then I asked for, what is it called? Install videos and whatever else it is, you know what I mean? And, you know, and I'm trying to figure out, you know what I mean, if it can even be installed and if it should even be purchased or not, you know what I mean? So it's already spec'd. That doesn't mean, you know, it's all good.
I'd give the person spending the money all the options, and I would put a piece of masking tape on that drill point before you start drilling, right at the right dimension.
Okay.
You know, then you know, measure off a half inch or whatever. Put a piece of masking tape around the circumference of the drill bit, and you know when to stop. Yeah.
You either do that, or I put, like, you know, I mark it with, like, a Sharpie or something like that. Yeah. Or your idea is good too. You know what I mean? So because that'll stay on. Sometimes the marker drills off. All right. So I think that's what I'm going to try. So basically, I should go to a hardware store once I receive and get the same thickness of the screw, just a shorter one.
Absolutely.
Got it. All right. And then, you know what? I can even test it probably, because if I remember how it looks in the video, the screw goes in, it'll hang off the bottom of the bumper, so I could see how much is protruding from there, so that I don't even have that. I mean, all you need is like a 16th or an 8th to puncture something and you're done.
Oh, so you don't want to short that circuit. I've put radiant flooring in a home that I had previously. Once you do that, you're done. Nothing goes into the floor.
Yeah, I know.
It's a cool system, though. It's really worthwhile. Solving the doorstop problem is going to be worthwhile because that warm floor is awfully nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, most people do it wherever there's tile, I'll be honest with you. You know, except if it's a basement or whatnot. But if it's a higher-end residential application where there is plenty of tile, you know, in a foyer, kitchen, bathroom, then usually it's done. It used to be that people used a lot more tile than they do now. They aren't as much. They're not using it as much in open spaces. Sometimes even dens we would do and whatnot. They're not doing that as much. It's more, you're seeing more wood everywhere, including kitchens, which is not the best idea, but whatever. And so you're seeing that they're using less, but wherever they are using it, they're using radiant. And if they're just small bathrooms and there isn't budget, then you're doing those electric mats.
Yeah.
Which work too, but like, I don't know how efficient they are, to be honest with you. They do the job, but it's like, I don't know. You know, it's weirder to have on a thermostat and have it work, and then you have electricity running all the time, and it ends up burning out. Whereas with this, it's PEX and hot water. It's forever. Yeah. So, all right, Richard, I really appreciate it. You definitely, I'm going to go that route. So let me speak to them about it. I'll just tell them that it can't be something that is necessarily guaranteed, quote unquote, because of the situation, and it can't go deeper than that because then there's going to be a problem. I don't want to be responsible for that either. and then we'll take it from there.
Let me know how it
All
turns
right.
out.
I will. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
All right. You too. Be well. Bye-bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.